Hello, Trouties. A little adjusting there. I didn't realize what time it was. I got so involved with adjusting the camera and all. I am excited to talk about this topic today because when I talk to you Trouties in person, there are certain things that I'm always asked. So I love having a way to be able to talk to you and to perhaps answer these questions and maybe it's kind of, there's only so many of you out of all of the people on Facebook that I will ever probably get to have one-on-one conversations with. So this is kind of my way, I'm going to just adjust a little bit, of being able, not expose myself, being able to have these conversations with you and to try and answer the questions that I get asked all the time. So if you may have noticed, and if you're new to this, let me introduce myself. My name is Sierra Bailey. I am the designer, maker, owner, and everythinger here at Manic Trout. And on Fridays, I go live on Facebook on the Manic Trout Facebook page. If you're not following along, please do so. You can just click on the little icon of this in the corner and follow along so you see them every week. But I am here every Friday, 1 p.m. Central, and then they stay up. Please comment and join in on the conversation. I see the comments come up. Maybe if I miss it, I will definitely answer later. And if you're watching this after the live, please comment, ask questions, engage, keep the conversation going. I love to hear what you want to say and to try to answer anything that I can. So if you may have noticed, I am now doing episode 19. So I have talked about some of the questions that you have asked. I've talked about inspiration. I've talked about the design process. So if you're curious, go to the Facebook page for Manic Trout, look at the videos and just look at what I'm talking about and you can kind of see some of the topics. Maybe I've already answered your question. But today, I want to talk about a question that is something that I used to struggle with as well. And that is, who am I designing for? And the way I actually get asked this the most is when I design jewelry. Am I designing jewelry for me? And the answer to that is a hard no. I am not designing jewelry for me because while I do enjoy the jewelry that I make and I do wear all of the jewelry, I'm not my own muse. And I'm not designing things that only I would like because that would probably make it so that there would be a lot less options of what I'm designing. So a few years ago, I've talked about this journey, so I won't go into it much, but a few years ago, I worked with a branding firm and rebranded. Again, this happens every few years with every business. And the first thing that I did was define my muse. And when I say define my muse, I had to write like a 10-page paper about who I design for and define my muse. My muse has a name. Her name is Chloe. My muse has a location. My muse has a house. She has a very involved life like we all do. And I had to write about that. I was tasked with completely naming, putting out there and like getting into like the specifics, like where does my muse eat dinner and where does my muse go shopping? And interestingly, and this was, we all learned so many things about marketing. My background is not marketing, it is design. And I may be the last to have figured all this out, but your muse is not necessarily who your audience and who is buying your things are. So it was really interesting to learn about that. And it was a fantastic exercise to actually like sit down and really think about it. And I have to admit that after that exercise, my work, I find, and I've had a few people say it, like tightened up. It really kind of brought direction to it, and now everything has a unifying feel to it. And I had to laugh a little bit because the other day, a online store based out of Austin contacted me, and they said, something about like who your audience is, and I like rattled off. They were like, that was really specific. And I was like, yeah, like I know who my audience is. I know who my muse is. And as a brand and a designer, it has been really helpful in making it so there's consistency in my designs. So when I am designing jewelry, I am always designing for Chloe, and I'll immediately look at something. This comes not just into like what I do for designs, but especially when I pick things like animals. So there has been a little conversation going on in some of the Facebook posts about, I love to ask for input about what people want to see, if they want to see non-animal things like that come up in future designs. And I've been getting some suggestions from people. And it is funny because now of going through this exercise, I believe about 4 years ago now, and having such a strong hold of who I'm designing for, I instantly can look at something and be like, oh no, that won't work. Or yes, that is perfect for Chloe. I love that. So it's a very interesting, it's hard to sit down and write about something that is so, and to find that is so specific, because as a creative person, to me, that was scary. I wondered if I was alienating people, like, oh no, if I do that, then what if all of those people don't like what I'm doing? Or what if these customers don't like what I'm doing? Which I learned very quickly once I did define that in my head and put it onto paper. My customers were much happier. All of the Trouties were happier because my design started making more sense. It did, however, it upset some people because part of the rebranding was that I moved fully into statement jewelry. And some of you may remember, I used to have chains with smaller animals. I had a few things that I would try here and there over the years. And it kind of pushed the jewelry into a more mature look too. So I may have upset some people, but you can't design anything without upsetting people, or it's not good design. That's just part of it. You can't make everybody happy. That just does not happen. So in my head, when I'm designing for Chloe, and that is who all of the jewelry is for. Sometimes I don't even agree with wearing, so it's like not my own style. And sometimes I'm really happy with what I designed for Chloe. But what I have noticed is that the Trouties have been happy a lot in the past few years since I defined that muse. If you are in a creative field, it's a wonderful exercise to do. It's a really cool thing. And it took me a while. It took me a few weeks. And like I said, I was scared. I was really freaked out that I was doing it wrong. And that if I picked this person and picked this definition, and that if things changed, that it would like hurt something. I don't know. Fear is weird. You don't know if you're, it's like making any decision in design, like, and putting it out there, like it's out there, but it's okay if you can adjust. Like I could adjust Chloe at any time, and she has adjusted a little bit. But I absolutely have found this to be an invaluable tool of kind of keeping my self on track, because sometimes I'll be like, I want to make all of the things, and I'm designing things that have no place in Manic Trap. So this is the way that I know that I do not even need to think about, options like E through Z, because they're not for Chloe. And it kind of keeps the clutter of creativity that sometimes happens in the design process. That's an easy way for me to edit. Like if it's not for Chloe, it's gone, and then I don't have to worry about those options. I've talked about this before. I've now been designing professionally for 15 years, and I'm still learning every single day, and I still strive to learn every single day. And this is one of those things that once I learned it, I realized immediately the awesome kind of power of this as a designer. It was one of those things that I was like, did they teach people this in like business school, or did they I don't think so. Or marketing, like what did I miss out on that I didn't learn this? Because sometimes I wonder that. Of having an art and technology background, sometimes I'm like, what did I not take that they didn't teach me this? But I learned it, and sometimes you have to teach yourself, especially as an entrepreneur. So Chloe is who I designed for. Who? And when I am considering things, if it is not for Chloe, then it will not happen. This, of course, means that maybe there are some things that you wish that I had, and that is where, you always can reach out and email me and say, hey, do you have this that you can do into a necklace? I stick with my aesthetic when I do custom orders, but I absolutely, I always say, if there's an animal I don't have and you want, let me know. Even if we've talked about the dogs before. It's very difficult to make dog jewelry because everybody's very into their dog, not other dogs. So I don't make any dogs because I'm alienating everybody. So like, if you want, I've made some great poodle pieces for Trisha, who's a Troutie out there. You want poodle pieces or your dog, let me know. We can do something about that. This also actually brings me to a little bit of a question. So I'm asking you a question. Type in the comments and let me know this. So I have been working on doing the quarterly collections for quite some time. And 2 of my quarterly collections per year, I release not only a collection kind of that all goes together, for example, the sea glass, how there are earrings, bracelets, necklaces, the fall, winter, and the spring, summer, I have also been including animals. I have to hit something on my phone because something just popped up, sorry. And I, about 3 months ago, started designing animals as limited edition for a month at a time. And here's what I've learned in the 3 months. I've learned that I like doing just little bits of animals out because I can do them seasonally. I have liked doing limited edition because I can use, like I used some great fluorite with the mermaid this past month for July that I only had a small quantity of from a different design and that I knew I couldn't get more, but I loved it. So I could work that way. But here's what I've decided. I think that I'm going to stop doing the animals in the quarterly collections and have them just focus on a 12 piece that is a complete design. And I think I'm going to release animals on all of the other months. So like if I release a quarterly collection in September, I will not release 4 animals in September. That month will be skipped for the animals. But I'm going to do animals the other months of the year and just release them small, but keep them. And I think that's kind of a fun way to add more animals year round. It will almost end up to be the same amount of necklaces that I release and not do them quarterly. So you get to see the animals more often. And I'm also probably going to be a little quicker now to retire some designs. Sometimes designs stick around for a while, but I think right now, if designs are like over 2 years, they're going to be retired. So I wanted to kind of update you on that. If you are still watching this video, you now know a little of the behind the scenes because, you know, these videos are great for that too. So I don't have my clock on my phone right now. I don't know how much I've been talking, but this week I wanted it to be a little shorter because I can talk and talk and talk. So I wanted to answer a very much asked question, and I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes information of what is going on. And I thank you for taking time. For those of you who've either watched live or caught it later on Facebook, I really appreciate it. And if there are questions that you have for me or some sort of subject that you'd like me to discuss one of these Fridays, let me know. Send me a message if you don't want to put it out there publicly on the Facebook page. I really love to hear from you. I am, you know, making jewelry that I hope you love. And I'm, you know, this is all for you. I don't need all the jewelry. I appreciate your watching though. And if you are not following along on the Facebook page, please make sure that you like Manic Trout so that you can see these and participate in the conversations. I'm also Manic Trout on Instagram, and everything that I talk about jewelry wise that you see behind me that I'm wearing and that you see on the Facebook page are available, of course, at manictrout.com. I'm Sierra Bailey. I hope you join me again, and I thank you for watching, and have a great week. I will see you next Friday.